The green effect. There's a television commercial here in Belgium of a young woman going into what looks like an apotheke, a chemist, a pharmacy. But it's not. When she gets inside the door, she's in a park, or actually she's in the woods. And it's a public service announcement encouraging us to spend time out in nature. But wow, nature is healing. There's no question of the green effect. There's no question of, well, you breathe better. The air's getting scrubbed and oxygen's being produced and carbon dioxide's being removed, and the temperature's different. The variety of plants and smells, and there's a lot written and thought about aromatherapy, but every plant is emitting from its oils and from its fruits and from its flowers, all kinds of odors. And the soil itself, and the water that flows. It's an amazing thing. The woods. When you come out of the woods, especially in the summer, but really all the time, you know it. You know when you've come out into the open or into an urban area, you feel different. In a moment, I'm going to be walking through a bit of a urban area to kind of bridge the gap between two woods along some some are used and some are somewhat disused office buildings. It's where I first started seeing, when I was recovering from my surgery, the parakeets. And I found a lot of joy there, seeing the parakeets. Their color, their call. Being in an open space is being more vulnerable to the rain and to the wind. Where in the woods, the trees cover you. It's a great thing, that green effect, planting of trees. I'm doing the Conquer Camino Challenge with a number of people. And one of the motivations of many people doing these challenges is that a portion of the money that you give for your medal and for the app and so on supposedly goes into planting of trees. And that's supposed to be a reward, that so many trees are planted on your behalf along the way. I don't know if you heard my little friend. That was one of the parakeets flying over. But, yeah, trees, they do a lot for us. A lot more than just being a carbon sink. Trees have a long history. Humans have a relationship to the trees. One of my favorite books of all time is The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. And he's advocating for the trees and not cutting down more trees. And it's quite an old book for such a modern message. But we're tied to trees. Lord of the Rings talks about the trees being a living thing, the Ents, and getting up and walking around and having old wisdom. One of the oldest stories in the world is the Bible, and it starts with two people and a lot of trees and one forbidden tree. And we think about people sitting out under a tree. Sir Isaac Newton, among others, who David Brainerd, and I think there were others in the original prayer meeting before William Carey went off to India in the revival of the modern missions movement, started a prayer meeting under a tree. There's a story in America of a guy who went across, true story, though the legend's not quite what it is, who went across America planting apple trees, planting fruit trees all across the land, and the benefits that was to people. And I wonder if you got a tree story or a favorite tree. When I was young, I had a favorite tree, a big white pine in the woods behind my house. Trees represent a lot of things. There's a tree of life in the Bible. And even old King Nebuchadnezzar was seen as a tree, giving shelter to the birds of the air and to the peoples of the nations around. Powerful kings are pictured as trees. Well, I guess what I know is I'm really glad that the Wolva Dal, the Wolva Valley next to this little river I walk by, has a lot of trees. And those trees are really peaceful. They cool the air. They really make living on the edge of Brussels a treat. I want to encourage you, go find some trees and hug them and enjoy them and like them. Breathe deeply and find some rest and experience